right. I think I did. I think that should be good. Should be good. I think. I don't know.
How does it sound on your end with my mic?
You sound awesome on my end, so
Okay.
we're all good here. I just don't
Sweet.
have the highest quality audio equipment back in my apartment. But,
neither do I, honestly. But
how's it going, man?
it's going good. I've been super busy today, getting ready for my song to come out tonight. So
Ooh, yeah, I saw that.
yeah, so I'm just setting up some like Facebook ads, which is really boring. And
That sounds like a lot of fun, man. Setting up Facebook ads.
oh yeah, it's just a wonderful joy. Trying to like plan out what I'm gonna post and all that, all the stuff that's really not fun about doing music, but
Oh,
that
yeah.
I guess I kind of have to do if I want people to
Yeah.
actually hear the stuff. So
Well, the thing that gets me is whenever I post a new post, because the only social media I post on is Instagram for BoonePod. I don't post on Twitter or Facebook or anything. It makes me so mad that you can't schedule posts on Instagram. It is
Yeah.
so infuriating that I just have to remember to just actually just get up and post it.
right,
It's
I
like the
agree.
only-
I never thought about that.
It's the only social media platform where you can't schedule posts is Instagram. And the only way you could do it is through like third parties, and you have to pay them like $20 a post or something.
And then
I
you
don't-
get your account hacked, and then you're
Yeah,
like,
it's like
yeah.
I'm not doing that. But hopefully this recording should be good. And hey guys, welcome back to episode. I can't remember off the top of my head what episode number this is, but hey, welcome back to BoonePod Season 2, episode something. There's been a lot going on with BoonePod recently, so I do not know what episode this is. Because I don't know if you saw, as of recording this, it happened like last week, but, or no, maybe it was earlier this week, I'm not sure. The hard drive that I kept all of the stuff for BoonePod on failed. So I
Wow.
lost it. Like I just lost, like it just, the platter in it completely stopped working.
oh, okay, is it
So-
a SSD?
No, it was an old, I know I'm stupid, but it was an old external hard drive that I kept all my stuff on. I've upgraded it now. I did buy a 2 terabyte external SSD to keep it on, and like a 4 terabyte external hard drive, just so I always have it on 2 drives. But I lost everything for BoonePod. I lost all the original audio
That's
files, all the logos and everything. Oh, I was actually able to find one part of the logo, which is just the lettering of the logo. Just that, nothing else. And then I found that I actually had 2 episodes I'd previously recorded on. I think I had one on my laptop and one was on my phone, because I just airdropped it from the iMac I was recording on to my phone. So luckily I still had those 2, but then there were like 3 more that I just did not get to keep, which sucks.
Well, don't tell anyone this, but I don't even use a hard drive. I just use the desktop on my MacBook. Like if something happens to my laptop, all my music is gone forever.
Well, what because I had it all on that external hard drive, but then now I have I have everything backed up on 2 physical drives that I have with me, and then I also have it all uploaded to Google Docs too. Well, not Google Docs, but like Google Drive. So
There you
everything's
go.
triple backed up now, so I will not be losing anything else.
There you go.
But yeah, that was a bit of a kerfuffle, a bit of a goof on my end, but we're here now. I don't know, because I know I had a lot of people message me and they're like, "Oh, that sucks. I'm so sorry." And I was like, I was sad about it, but I wasn't like heartbroken, like on the floor crying about it. I was just like, "Man, that sucks."
I've had some stuff where I've lost some files and whatnot, and then I always think I probably wasn't gonna do anything with those files anyway. I'll just make some new stuff.
Yeah.
Like if it was that important, I would have put it out on the internet already.
Well, the thing that really sucked from the thing that I think in the back of my mind I was honestly more mad about was that drive also had it had a lot of my files from high school still on it. So like I took a digital media class in high school, for example, and I still had all of those files, like all of the original Photoshop files and stuff. And I really like to keep them just so I can go back and look at them, but now they're all kaputs, they're all gone. So
Well, I'm glad you got it all sorted out as best you could.
yeah, I think I did too, but No, it's really funny to me though, because the SSD I bought for this, it's like a gamer SSD, and I didn't mean for it to be, but I plugged it into my computer and it has like RGB rainbow lights on the side of it. And I'm like,
Hey, that's cool.
wait, it's cool, but like it doesn't need to be on an like this is like an SSD, like it's not like a keyboard or anything. I say as my keyboard's rainbow flashing right in front of me.
Real gamer hours.
Yeah, well, I'm recording this. I record. I edit all of my stuff on like my. Oh, this is so embarrassing to say. I edit all of my stuff on like my gamer PC rig that I
Mm,
built. But now that I'm recording at home, because usually when I record on campus, it's like a neutral space, but then here it's just like in my apartment. So I had to turn off all of the fans so people couldn't hear fans in the background, all
there you
that fun
go.
stuff. But enough talking about me. How's it going, man? Heard that you had a single coming out tonight.
Yeah, it's been going pretty good, you know. I mean, obviously I don't live in Boone anymore, so I'm relocated to like the Raleigh area music scene. So I've been
Okay.
working pretty steadily on reestablishing myself
Mm-hmm.
after like post Boone, I guess.
Yeah, the post Boone musician syndrome.
Right. And I knew there was gonna be some growing pains when that happened because Boone is kind of like a self-contained area where
Mm.
you can feel really sick in Boone and you leave Boone, you're like, oh word, no
We
one knows who I am at all.
I had someone else mention something really similar like that to me, where it's like Boone, because it's like kind of just on top of a mountain. You really are in your own like little musical creative bubble,
Right.
and then the moment you go out, it's like, all right, now I actually have to talk to other people. Or at
Well,
least
yeah.
that's how I had another person describe it to me.
I mean, honestly, I was kind of looking forward to, or I still am looking forward to growing it past what it was, my music, I guess. So I'm looking forward to, you know, building like a strategic following in a new place and
Hmm.
focusing on new cities and because I mean, I I always will be grateful for like what Boone did for me. It kind of got me like a good start. I still want to grow. I don't want to make that my peak, so to say.
Hmm. I definitely feel like Boone. I feel like that's part of the reason why Boone has such a high amount of musicians and creatives, is because it's such a good like kickstart place. Just because you are always surrounded by that many, like just tons and tons of creative people. So it's a really good kickstart place. But then I imagine once you get out, it's the hardest part isn't necessarily making what you want to make. It's just getting started again. And I imagine that's really, really tough.
Well, I mean, I feel like I had some momentum coming out of it all. Like it wasn't like, oh, I have to restart everything. Like I have
Mm-hmm.
lots of music that I recorded. Got a new backing band, so we got gigs. So, it's not like you have to completely restart. But I mean, Boone is a great place to get started musically because it's not super gatekeepy.
Mm-hmm.
There's people are generally pretty supportive of each other. I
And
remember my first gig was back in like 2019. I didn't have a drummer, but like Tap Room let me play with like
mm-hmm.
acoustic guitar and keyboard and bass guitar. And like we just played a gig and they're like, all right, word. It's not like the venues in Boone aren't like, well, how many likes on Facebook do you have? And
Yeah.
like, what's your draw? Like most of them don't care. I mean, there's people are going to come out because it's Boone. There's not much to do. The place they're going to pack out. So it's a great place to get yourself comfortable with playing live and dropping music and all that kind of stuff.
Mm. It is really cool how many of the venues are just super cool with just letting a ton of different people on. I mean, it's really, really good that they're not super gatekeepy about anything.
Right, but then you leave and you realize, oh, I need a website. Like I need to show how many tickets I
Yeah.
can sell. I got to do all this stuff that you know the Boone, the
Yeah.
playing in Boone doesn't necessarily teach you. Like
As
it's
soon as you get out of Boone, then people are actually super business oriented.
right. So
Which
you gotta kind of enjoy it for what it is, and also realize uh there's some work to be done after
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Do you feel like you have to put in a lot more effort now? Making, I mean, not necessarily even making music, but getting gigs and stuff, like playing in venues. Do you feel like you have to put in a lot more effort now?
Um, I guess there's a lot more venues around here. Last year, I was trying to play as much as possible. Like I was trying to make music how I was making my money. So I would take
Mm,
gigs that weren't necessarily uh, amazing in terms of building a following, but that were just paying well. So there's lots of places you can play around here. There's less places around here that you can just randomly pack out a bar with zero following. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
So if this year I'm focusing more on playing like higher quality gigs, playing a little bit less so that because you don't want to wear out like a market and you don't
mm.
want to like oversaturate a certain place. So like last year I kind of felt like, I was playing in the Raleigh area every weekend and like people that would typically come out and see me kind of like I didn't see him as much. I was like, okay, may think why? Well, because like I feel like they know I'm playing every week, so I need to kind of like stop doing that as much.
Yeah. So you're kind of just trying to make the shows that you do play feel more special, so that you can build an audience more.
Right, yeah, that's the goal for sure. And I got some help with booking now too, so that should definitely help.
Ooh, cool. I know. It's. I'm sorry, my mind completely blanked. I've been super busy today. But how do you like? Do you does the vibe of playing music or playing at venues feel different outside of Boone? I'm because I know it's like a totally different culture outside of. I mean, it's going to be a completely different culture anywhere you go. But does it feel like significantly different, or does it kind of just feel like you're just picking up and playing again?
Um, you know, I guess I'll just be honest in the podcast. Like, um, I would say the vibe is generally more professional outside of Boone.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the most professional music venue or the most professional venues I've played are probably through the school in Boone, like doing like apps shows at like Legends and stuff, and Boone Saloon. Those are my favorite places to play because like you show up, there's like good sound, you're gonna
Mm.
get paid.
It's a lot more professional oriented instead of just
Right,
feeling like you're playing at some. I guess just feel like you're just playing at some dude's house or whatever.
right. The amount of house shows I played at, and then at the end it's like, well, you know, well, we need to pay the house first, and so sorry, there's no money for the bands. I'm like, okay, like that was a common occurrence in Boone. So
Hmm.
I'm not I say outside of Boone, it's a little bit more
It's a little bit more like professional and pro musician than maybe just necessarily having a good show for the people.
right. And like, I mean, that's sometimes you got to play those shows where it's like the expectation is I'm not going to make a ton of money off this, but I'm going to get to play for a ton of people and it's going to be a
Hmm.
great time. Like that's perfectly valid, and I still want to do stuff like that. But
I
I'd say outside of Boone, it is a little bit more like, all right, this is load in. You're gonna have this stuff here, and this is how it's gonna be.
hmm. I imagine at least on your end, the more professional shows outside of Boone are much better for I don't know you getting paid. I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those shows kind of come down to how many tickets you sell. So you got to be selling tickets,
Hmm.
or play those gigs that pay well, but might not necessarily have the most interested audience.
Hmm. Okay. I I will say I do the vibes that, so the all of the shows that I've been to in Boone, I definitely do get that feeling of where it kind of just does just feel like you're playing like a house show or whatever. And I feel like that kind of audience does do really well for especially like a college town like Boone. But then as soon as you step out, you're like, all right, now I actually want to, professionally do music, or because I know a lot of musicians in Boone that pop up in Boone are people that go to App State, but they don't necessarily like a lot of what sadly happens a lot of times with bands in Boone is that as soon as they graduate, the band is kind of just over, which really sucks because a lot of the time they're just their music is really good, but they get out of college, they're like, all right, and then they go do an office job and they live their life. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but it does kind of stink that they just kind of disappear off the face of the map.
Right. And that's why I kind of, um, that's kind of why I do the solo. I went the solo project route is because like I wanted to be able to sustain the same whatever project or brand or whatever you want to call it into the future. And I didn't want it to just be something that fizzles out
Mm-hmm.
after I was done in whatever town I was in. Like I want to be able to I can take my name wherever I want it to, and I don't have to start over. It's not like
Yeah. So
it's a lot easier.
it's not like you're in a band and then and then the band ends and then you're like, okay, well, I still wanted to keep doing music, and then you have to completely restart from ground zero. Where, I mean, if you did that, I mean, I'm sure some people would be like, oh, hey, it's that guy from that. But then I know definitely doing a solo career, do you think it's more like satisfying for you to be doing a solo career than being in a band?
Sometimes I think the negative aspects to it are, uh, I think bands seem to generate followings a little easier. And also, I think that there's always this expectation that, oh, it's just a solo act. Like, it's not going to be like a high energy show.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be like super lit or whatever. Where I try to make my shows as like high energy as possible, which I think is more likened to that sort of band image. Uh, so, I think it comes with some downsides. Also, you know, the with a band, people are extremely like everyone feels like it's their thing. I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it kind of can feel like the people you play with just feel like they're just playing for that. I don't know. I'm trying to put a word on it, but I think having band members for a band probably helps put the project forward a little bit easier because everyone feels like it's their thing. Where it's like just me. The people I play with, all they have to do is kind of show up and play and practice, which is like fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like all the business stuff is on me. Uh, so yeah, I guess you get to promote your own name while also like busting your ass.
Yeah. I don't know. I know one of the big things for me is that I know some people, I've kind of dissuaded this opinion a lot recently, but I do think some people, because I have had some people reach out to me on the Instagram to be on the show, and they're like, "Hey, we love what you guys are doing," and I'm like, "What? It's just me. Like BoonePod is just me." And I think the biggest thing for that isn't that I wouldn't ever want someone else to touch it. It's that I'd really like having complete creative control over the show. Because I
Mhm.
am, at least for me, if I'm working on it, if it's just me, I'm very much a perfectionist about making things look right and how the audio sounds and all that stuff, which is why I usually don't um, do Zoom recordings because my own personal mic isn't that great. But, I did just really want to have you on the show. But, I'm just, I don't know. Do you feel that same way? Do you like having the complete like creative control? Are you a perfectionist over your work?
I would say I strive for perfection, but I always know I really try to not let the perfect get in the way of the good. I forget who
Mm.
said that, but I don't really know where that came from, but I didn't come up with that phrase. I think my therapist told me that, maybe.
I
So, but in terms of like, I don't micromanage the people I play with, like I
mm,
always tell people, come up with your parts. Like, I want to hear what you have to like,
like you want to hear what they bring to the table.
right? Because like if we're recording and I could play a guitar part, I would have just played it myself. But like, I want to hear something like that's what I would say to people is kind of like have your input and tell people when you don't like something, but don't I don't know. I try my best to let people bring their ideas and only speak up when I don't like something.
Hmm. I know. At least. Oh God, sorry, my brain blanked again. Um, I know for me at least, I don't think if I ever did bring, because I do plan on, what I plan on doing is that when I graduate, I do plan on making BoonePod like not necessarily not my thing anymore, but I want to pass it on to someone else because I
Mhm.
know the whole thing. I mean, it's like I said earlier, musicians and musicians in Boone, they typically, it's sad to say, but like they typically stop putting out music when they graduate, which really
Right.
sucks. But it's like this perpetual cycle of like every semester, there's always going to be new musicians on campus that bring fresh new ideas. So I have tossed around the idea of trying to get someone else to host the show and then just staying around in the background as a producer. But I don't know. I would have to go through a lot of boring interviews to see who I would get to carry on the show. But I don't know because I don't unlike someone like you who puts out their music on in your name. I don't put BoonePod out in my name. BoonePod is like a separate entity from me. But I don't know. I don't know if I do plan on doing it, but I haven't really thought too seriously into it yet. Um, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, passing it down sounds cool. Or you could just rebrand it to wherever fits your life in that moment.
I know that's what someone else told me is that I should just carry on the show and then just whatever city I end up in do that
Yeah.
there. And I could totally see what I might end up doing is that I might get someone to carry on the show here and then whenever I graduate move somewhere. So like say I move to like Asheville or like Raleigh or somewhere, I would probably do a show that focuses on the musicians there instead.
Yeah,
But
oh yeah, I like that idea of starting a new one and then just handing that one off. Be like a
I so
franchise opportunity.
oh yeah, I know someone touted the idea of just taking over the entire East Coast, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I could. I
Why
don't know.
not?
I just don't know if that. I feel like that'd be too much work for me. I feel like putting out the
Uh,
amount of stuff I do now is just barely almost at the point of being too much work. But you
yeah, if you
know,
want it to be fun.
that's what I mean. That's what I like about it. I feel like the reason why I do this isn't because I mean it is. It's mostly because I just want to talk to these people, talk to all these cool creatives and musicians in Boone, and that I just because I don't think my show is an interview show. It's more of just me having a conversation with the person.
Right.
But which is why I try to do in person, like face to face, so much, because in person, you can see like all of their, their facial expressions and all that stuff. But I have grown more accustomed and more open to the idea of doing Zoom interviews because I know a lot of people I want to have on are just like, it's super busy to schedule like an in-person meeting, and I totally get that.
Yeah.
But so for you, so you said you were in Raleigh, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And I know Raleigh, I haven't been there in a while, but I know Raleigh's a pretty big town, right?
Yeah, it's gotten crazy too. I grew up around here and
Hmm.
so
Are you originally from like the area around Raleigh?
yeah, I grew up in Apex, so it's like right outside of Raleigh. And
Ah, okay.
so I've seen that place like transform. It's gotten crazy.
Has it just turned into like a much bigger city in like the over the course of your life?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think at one point Apex got voted by some magazine as one of the best places to live in America. And then I just saw this like influx of people there. And
Oh,
then
really?
yeah, and pretty much it just seemed to get crazy developed and it was kind of sad.
Hmm.
But
Everybody
um
moves in and they just kind of ruin the whole vibe they had going on.
yeah, and I know that's like a complaint about, wherever people are from, so oh this place has changed, but
Hmm.
it's hard to not have those
Yeah,
feelings.
it's hard to not have it change.
Yeah.
I know. So a town that I'm, not that I'm from, that I'm really close to, Lenore, North Carolina, which is just at the base of the mountains.
Right.
Used to be this massive like furniture factory town,
Hmm.
and then sometime in the '90s, it just completely died off. Like from what I've heard, it used to be awesome to live in Lenore, because there was just such an influx of money going through the town, and then furniture died off, and then now, if you go through Lenore now, like I don't know anybody listening to this. I like Lenore sucks. I hate it.
I've been through there a few times.
I don't like it. I hate it. And I that's why I like Boone so much more, just because, at least to me, I like Boone so much more just because it's a very walkable town. Like I never feel that I have, unless it's somewhere like across town. Like 90% of the places, like even campus, I can walk to in like 10, 15 minutes, and that's awesome for me.
Yeah, that is
But
good.
I don't know.
My,
I don't. How is Raleigh about that?
I wouldn't say it's a very, it's so big. I wouldn't say it's walkable by any
Hmm.
means, but uh, I don't know. The roads here have gotten so, I just feel like an old man, like, oh, this place has changed. Oh, sorry, blew up my
This is a
mic there,
complete.
but
This town sucks now.
yeah, but I'm gonna complain about the roads. Like, I'm in my 20s. I shouldn't be complaining about the quality
Yeah.
of infrastructure, but I will. So, um, yeah, the roads here are just terrible. They're full of
Hmm.
traffic, but that's my complaint about Raleigh. But
So.
yesterday I was driving through. I kind of had a change of perspective. I was like, it was a beautiful, warm, kind of warmish day yesterday. And I was like, this is a beautiful place. I'm just complaining all the time. Like, well, I should just enjoy this place for what it is now. I'm not gonna be able to change it with how I feel. Let me just accept and I don't know, try and make the best of things.
Mhm.
There's lots of people that would love to live in Raleigh, the Raleigh area, you know?
I I can probably count on one hand the amount of times I've been to. I think I've only ever been in like set foot in Raleigh like twice in my entire life.
Really?
It's just not an area I go to often. Like if I'm going to a big city, 90% of the time it's Charlotte. You
Fair
know,
enough. Fair enough.
Charlotte or like Gastonia, that area. Charlotte or like Asheville or whatever.
Yeah.
Shout out Asheville, probably my favorite city of all time. But
You know, I lived in Asheville for a little bit and I actually do not like Asheville.
oh really? What'd you not like about Asheville?
Um, it's not a great place to be broke in
Yeah, and I could totally
um
see that.
and I got, you know, I don't know. I didn't have that was not the best time in my life when I was there. So
Hmm.
I have some great friends that live there and I will like visit them all the time. But if my friends weren't in Asheville, I don't
You
think I
don't
would
think
go
you'd
to
miss
Asheville.
it?
Yeah.
I mean, I get that's totally fair because I've never lived there. That's coming. My perspective on Asheville is just from visiting. I love visiting. Like it's a really cool town to just hang out in. I know nothing about
Right.
living in it. All I know is that everything is like sky high expensive, but it's not much more than living in Boone. Boone's pretty pricey too. But
Yeah, I think I think it was my first apartment. I lived with a bunch of other people, and someone even lived on the porch, if that tells you how we were living. But our apartment with four people in it was like $1,000 a month. So I mean, that wasn't like the worst apartment complex in
mm,
Nashville though.
Jesus. Wait, is
Yeah.
that 1,000 per person?
No, that was a
Oh,
thousand total. I think people think Boone is crazy expensive. Like I
it
think people
is.
it's worse than a lot of other places. I think.
That well, it's because it's this tiny little pinprick town on top of a mountain, and there's nowhere else to expand. Like there's nowhere else to put any more apartments. So it's just there's like a complete and total housing crisis. Oh, what do you mean? Zoom. Hold on, I just got a notification saying our Zoom meeting will end in 10 minutes.
Okay. Well,
So
better just
I guess that's all. I guess that's all we have left.
all right. Well,
Let me set a
see what we
timer on
can
my
get done in
phone.
10 minutes.
Yeah, let me set a timer on my phone so I remember. But
Alrighty.
because I was trying to think, I'm like, how long can we really do this? Oh, okay. There's a timer up top. No need, no need. Oh, cool, very cool. I have to upgrade to Zoom Pro to get an unlimited time. Fuck
I
that.
think if you use your student email, you
Oh,
should be
okay.
able to bypass that
Maybe I'm on.
for next time.
I didn't. I use Zoom so rarely because it's not like the pandemic anymore where all of my classes were on Zoom and it sucked horribly. But
Right.
I actually lucked out. When I was in high school and COVID was happening, we just did not have Zoom call classes at all. My all of my professors and teachers would just post something daily and be like, "Hey, guy," he would send out an email and be like, "Hey, here's the assignment you have to do today." And then I felt really bad for my sister who had really bad Zoom classes. Cuz I just never had any during the pandemic. Rarely ever did I ever have any. What was your experience with the whole pandemic thing?
I mean, obviously I was in college, when it was happening.
Hmm.
So, one of my teachers, my recording teacher for like my audio classes, he tried. I mean, he successfully had us, still coming in and using the studio all throughout COVID, which I really, respected him for. We did it in safe ways and stuff. So, I mean, I got to still feel like I had like a decent value coming in for what I was paying for my education. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of times I enjoyed it because I didn't have to go in as much.
Well,
Had
that was
some
the that.
downtime. I don't really feel like I had a terrible time during the pandemic,
I
honestly.
I've talked to this about my friends before, but I honestly think, at least for me personally, the first like month or 2 months of the pandemic,
It's
where
fun.
I didn't have to go into class and everything, it was fun. It was kind of nice to just stay inside for like 2 months.
Yeah,
I think honestly, I the whole time I literally just played video games. That's all I did for those 2 months was just play video games. And then by the third month, I'm like, okay, I kind of want to go outside and do stuff. And then it was like, yeah, no, you shouldn't. So that's like,
honestly, with
it got tired after a while, but for the first 2 months, I think it was kind of fun.
I mean, it it definitely had like a kind of broke up normal life in kind of an
Hmm.
interesting way, I guess. I mean, but also because of the pandemic is kind of why I pursued I really don't think I would be where I am with music if it wasn't for the pandemic because
Hmm.
I kind of capitalized on the fact, like a lot of bands weren't able to do anything during the pandemic, but I was like, well, I'm a solo act. Like I have my acoustic guitar. There's really no excuse I
Hmm.
could literally record during
Yeah.
this. So I tried to like use that time as best I could and still like, do what I could with it. So I feel like I got a little leg up during that time almost
Hmm.
because of the fact that, I just play acoustic guitar and sing.
It sounds like one of us for sure was more productive during the early months of the pandemic
I mean,
than the other.
I'm not gonna act like I was grinding the whole time, but
Hmm.
I mean, I still, I like to play my video games too.
Yeah. I just I don't know, because I it's crazy to think that we're kind of, I mean, it's been this way for a pretty long while now, but it's kind of crazy that it just seemed like one day we were just out of the pandemic. Like obviously you can still get COVID, but it's
Hmm.
crazy to me that it just felt like one week it was just over. And then
Yeah, it was just decided.
now everything's kind of back to normal. I guess.
Well, I just thought the other day, I was like, I haven't thought about COVID in like over a week,
Yeah, well that's what I'm talking about, cuz it's like all of a sudden you just stop thinking about it. And then I'm still on my track record of never getting COVID once. So,
That's impressive.
I know. I'm still shocked. I thought I had it about a month ago. I got tested. I tested negative like 3 times and I was like, "Cool." So, officially on the record, I've never gotten COVID.
That probably puts
So,
you in a very small percentage of the population.
oh yeah, 100%. Like all of my friends have gotten COVID. I know a few people that like reacted really harshly to it. Like they were really sick for like a few weeks. And I felt really bad for them. And then I had a few friends that got really sick from getting the vaccine too. And then
Dang.
all I got from the vaccine was a sore arm. So,
Yeah, I had like a pretty crazy fever, but you know,
yeah, I had one
what you
friend
gonna do?
that got like 102 fever like the next day and I was like, "Holy shit. I can't believe it."
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy
Oh,
out here.
it's really funny that we were like, all right, let's make the best of this last 10 minutes, and we've been talking about COVID for the last six. But since we're running low on time here, I'm going to do what I do every episode, or at least if I remember. I'm going to give you a few minutes here to do some shout outs to whoever you want to shout out.
Okay.
And then we'll do the outro.
Sounds good. Well, I guess I would like to shout out to the people that played on my new song that's coming out. Jake Owens on the guitar, Alvin Carlisle on the bass, Evan Stahl on drums, Sean French on saxophone, Jasmine Hunjin on background vocals. Sorry, it's a big band here. I think who else? That might be it. Yeah, the song's called Time of Day. And yeah, I guess those are the people I'd like to shout out. If I forgot
cool.
anyone that played on it, forgive me.
Very short list of shout outs. It's really funny. Every time I ask people to do it, they'll just think about it. They'll just come up with the names, and then I always just shout out God or Jesus Christ.
You have to. Shout out to God.
Shout out God. Shout out Jesus. Shout out Mom.
Yep. The trifecta.
Shout out
Not Dad.
No, I mean, yeah, sure. Shout out Dad too. Shout out whatever, some U.S. president, one of them.
Right, the one of your choosing.
Yeah, like George Washington. Shout out George Washington.
True.
Or I don't know, Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, he was a good one, right?
Jimmy Carter's cool. He's
How about,
he's the peanut guy.
how about JFK?
Sure. Shout out JFK. He put us on the moon personally.
Right.
He flew the rocket. I don't know. I can't think of any other presidents I want to shout out. Who's the one that got stuck in the tub?
I think that was Taft.
Yes, William Howard Taft. Yeah, shout out him.
Shout out to Taft.
And
Hope
shout
you got
out
the tub.
shout out the tub.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since we're running out of time here, we've got about 2 minutes left. Do you happen to know the outro for the show by chance?
I don't.
Because some people do, some people don't. So I always ask. So it's "See you later, Booners," because my fans are the Booners and their parents are the Boomers.
Okay.
Very big brained thinking. So do you want to do it on 3? See you later, Booners.
Sounds good. We'll see how we do with the delay.
All right. Yeah. We'll see how we do with the Zoom delay.
Wait.
All right.
Say it one more time.
See you later, Booners.
All right, got it.
Yeah. So on 3. So 1, 2, 3. See you later, Booners.